All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Friday, which means another ramble. I'm John Caspian.
I'm John Galvin.
And today we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We've got Giga-Con 2019, we have White Dwarf July, we have new releases for things like Wild West Exodus, Dust, etc. We got a whole bunch of stuff. But let's go ahead and start off with talking about Giga-Con 2019, which is this weekend.
Yeah, so for those of you guys who are not in the War Machine Hordes community, uh, we have a giant 3-day event that goes on once in the summer every year, in which it is a qualifier for Warfare Weekend up in, oh my God, I'm blanking out now, St. Louis. There we go. It's up in St. Louis. And so you have 3 days of awesome gaming of War Machine and Hordes here at Giga-Bites Cafe, and you have a chance of winning a spot into the grand tournament in St. Louis from it. So it starts tonight with a Champions tournament. Champions is a limited format tournament designed to be a smaller scale in terms of the amount of models that you can use uh, to one, add an additional challenge, but then also allow people who maybe don't have years worth of collection to participate in it and not be at a step behind. So that is taking place tonight. We'll be live streaming it. It'll be a combination of the podcast Mysterious Talking Yeti Men and also Gigabytes Cafe. So we'll be having that going on the entire weekend. Starting on Saturday, we have both the two Masters qualifying heats, and basically they're going to be smaller tournaments, about 20 to 24 people playing in it. The top 8 from each tournament you get put into the Masters on Sunday, and then whoever takes home the Masters gets the grand prize, gets that qualifying spot in the Warfare Weekend tournament, and takes home the bacon, so to speak. But on top of that, we have other events and tournaments going on. We'll have open play with Iron Arena, gives you a chance of earning some more prizes and things like that. Also, a painting competition for both best individual model and best overall army. So I'm excited for those. Plus a whole bunch of other things and awards that we have that are a little bit hidden right now before we can really announce them. So if you guys like War Machine and Hordes, there's still time to register for the tournament. Or if you're interested in getting started, it's a great time to kind of check out and see what a tournament play is like for the weekend and meet the community. We have people coming in from Florida, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee. Basically, the entire Southeast is showing up for this event. I know I'm hosting some folks from Louisiana at my place during the event, so they'll be here participating as well.
How many players do we have signed up right now?
Um, we are, I believe, around at the 44 mark now.
Not
So,
bad.
oh, it's a huge event, and we're really excited to get all these people coming in for it. Just goes to show that if you run an event and do it consistently over the years, you'll build up that player base and reputation. And having all these guys come in from all over the country is such a huge honor. At least for me, um, means that we're doing something right to have folks drive several states away just to come play in a tournament with us. So,
Yeah, I mean, and it's not 40K. Although 40K, nothing wrong with it. But a
no,
lot of folks think that maybe in their area that people only play 40K, and that's not true. I
yeah,
think that there's quite a few people everywhere you go that will play other things. It just sometimes takes a little more work than 40K.
yeah, and I've been a War Machine and Hordes player from the get go. That's what really got me into this whole hobby and background was playing that war game with my friends. Uh, and obviously, I've grown into playing every other game under the sun, but War Machine and Hordes always has a special spot in my heart, and I love seeing it flourish. And events like this are really kind of the core of what it is to play War Machine and Hordes. You have that, you know, exciting tournament play and a lot of fun camaraderie. We always have a hoot when we get all these guys together under a roof. So I'm excited to see what the weekend holds, and I'm hoping everyone has a great time and we can keep things
For
growing here.
anyone that is watching that's going, tell us what you're playing, what you're excited about for the weekend. That'll help people who are also watching see what
Yeah,
what is so exciting about it. Because big events are amazing.
yeah. And I know a lot of people are gunning for Best in Faction.
Ooh, okay.
So
How does that
there,
work?
so basically, Best in Faction. There are now 15 factions in the game with the release of Infernals. Um, but it is your overall standing amongst the two qualifying heats and the Masters tournament. So it's win-loss ratio. So whoever has the most wins in their given faction usually takes it home, but there are several tie breaks. So basically, if you play against another person in your faction and you win against them, that's more or less double points. Or if you lose against them, that's a double loss, considering for best in faction, because you guys are going head to head at that point. And then other tie breaks are basically the level of the tournament that you're playing at. So the qualifying heats and masters will be ranked more than, let's say, like a caster draft or like open play, that sort of thing. So
It's
yeah.
gonna be awesome. What's the new faction that's getting released?
um,
Infernals, right?
mhm. Infernals has its official release next week, but they are playable in the tournament itself, simply because they were released at lock and load and their cards are in the database, which means that they are 100% legal in this tournament. So if anyone is lucky enough to have the models or gotten them from a friend or whatever, you can get them here in the tournament. So that one's probably going to be the least played faction. We may have 0 Infernal players, um, but I know at some of the tournaments I've went to, some people have said, "Oh man, there's no one playing this faction." They would go out, buy a faction box, assemble it, and play an event to get it.
That's how you do it.
So if you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. But I know factions that are in high contention right now
Uh huh.
are Scorn, and Scorn are one of those really unique privateer press ones. They are pain vampires that have a Indian, like, I mean like ancient Indian, like the Asian country slash Chinese slash Japanese feel to them. So basically, Far East pain vampires that use giant monsters and dinosaurs to fight. Um, but we have a lot of people. I think we have 3 really strong Scorn players that all have claimed the best in Scorn. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes out throughout the weekend. Uh, I personally am rooting for Damon Booker, even though that's against my own Yeti, Matt Miller. Damon, I hope you're watching this. So, but yeah, uh, the best in faction is always a fun one to watch. We also have basically like best sport, best painted, all that. I really do love seeing a lot of the people's painted work. We have some people coming in from South Carolina, most notably Corey, who is an incredibly strong painter, and he always likes to one up himself every time he shows up for an event with the next thing that he has gone all out on for painting. So we'll be sure to take a lot of photos and get those online for everyone to view.
Oh heck yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. So yeah, that is
So
tomorrow and Sunday. Or is it today as well?
yeah, it's today. We have the champions tonight. So
Oh wow.
registration will start as early as 3 o'clock. We're going to get dice rolling between 4 and 5 as soon as we can get everyone in. It'll go late, but it'll be a lot of fun. And it's basically a great way to get some practice in. And to me, I don't have a lot of time to play in between events, so it's a great way to like shake off the cobwebs before you
Yeah.
go into the qualifying heats.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely something to check out. And it's also, once again, like it's an extra day of hanging out with your friends that you may not get to see all the time since they're from states away.
That's gonna be great. So then,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So that's everything for Giga-Con.
Yep. So that's basically all the Giga-Con stuff. But be a lookout on our Facebook page, Atlanta War Machine, and we'll be doing our best to get it uploaded to YouTube and Twitch as well. So
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
yeah,
Let's go ahead and talk about Warcry.
yeah. So we got a couple questions from the live streams after it went live, and we flipped through the book and all that. So we wanted to take a couple minutes to answer questions and things like that that got brought to our attention after the fact. So, John, the first one was, what's the minimum size unit you can bring,
Yeah.
right?
What's the like a smallest squad you can or war band you can take? What's the
The,
largest war band you can take?
the smallest warband is 3, the largest is 15. And
Okay.
so you basically buy models on an individual basis, right? So, like, if you're playing, let's say Stormcast, because people know Stormcast, you can take one Vanguard Hunter with longbow, you can take one Vanguard Hunter with the Hurricane crossbow, one Griffhound, one Razor Wing or Aether Wing, excuse me, and then one of the Vanguard Hunter leaders, and then call it a day.
Oh, that's
Uh,
it.
well, I mean, if that equals 1,000 points, then yeah. And there's no minimum size for like a squad that you have to bring outside of like the Warcry guys. Like you don't
Are there
have to
things that
bring.
upgrade them, like cards or equipment?
Currently, there are no cards or equipment to upgrade them. Now, playing through narrative, like playing narrative ways, or going through like match play and things like that, you can give them similar things that you would give a like a general or a hero in a Age of Sigmar army. So you can basically give them a command trait or an artifact of
Ah,
power.
okay.
But those are things that you have to earn, and they're all in the book. Like there's no like artifact cards or anything, at least not yet. Um, Other questions that we had was how to determine your leader. Well, it's already done for you. So when you get your deck of cards, whether it's Iron Golems, Stormcast, Night Haunts, or whatever, it'll have cards in there that will give the leader rune mark to basically all eligible leaders. And so that determines what your leader is, and you can only have one model with a leader rune mark in any list. So you can only bring basically one prefector from the Iron Golems, or a Stormcast Vanguard leader kind of thing with you. So uh, but yeah, like you can't just choose. Like let's say you're playing goblins, you can't say Squig. That Squig is going to be my leader. It doesn't have a leader rune mark on its card, which means it's not eligible to become a leader. Now, playing open play, you can absolutely do whatever. I don't even think you need a leader. It's just kind of build as you want. But in terms of narrative or match play, you'll need to find a leader. And I'm pretty sure with narrative, you can more or less convince whoever's running the campaign to say, "Hey, this squig that actually has a goblin inside of it, I want it to be my leader because it's the goblin directing people through the inside of the squig." Something fun like that.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I don't think if anyone else has any questions, go ahead and ask us on the Facebook chat
Yeah,
so we can see them.
I have the book right in front of me, and we'll have the
Aw,
book
yeah.
here all weekend. And I'll be reading up on it in between games at Giga-Con. I'll be basically brushing up, uh, learning all the rules and all that. Uh, the Warcry game seems really intuitive. It does build a lot on what Age of Sigmar's already done,
Hmm.
but they're able to expand things a little bit more just because of the fact that it's a much smaller scale, and you get that more one-on-one feeling with your
Now,
models.
this is something that they people have not that I know have been talking about. How long does a typical game take?
So typical games should not take too long. I want to say they are aiming for 30 to 45 minutes for a typical game
Okay.
once you learn the rules. Um,
Right. That's always
Now,
the asterisk there, right?
right, right. And so they basically wanted to be a good kitchen top table game. The boards are going to be the same size as Kill Team. So either 2 foot by 2 foot or like that 22 by 30-inch board, which is always nice. Um, So things get real killy real quick in these games. Basically, they want the line of engagement to be drawn as you guys start taking action. So it's really, really awesome to have a game that is brutal and efficient and takes away a lot of the like setup turns that you would have in larger scale war games where you guys do
Right.
like that positioning and posturing to see who's going to take the first stab. Warcry is if you're not stabbing someone really quick, you're doing something wrong.
Right. And what I really liked in the gameplay video, or the how to play video, was the way they did initiative, having 6 dice. Love it.
Hmm.
And then, if you have, I think the highest single number that you have is your initiative. That's who goes first. But if
Right.
you roll doubles, triples, quadruples, there's like an abilities list for your faction that
Yes.
you can trigger those special abilities using your doubled or triple or quadrupled dice. That is something I've not seen before. Very interesting.
Yeah, so it kind of reminds me a little bit of Saga because Saga has those um the special face dice that it has, and when you roll it, it kind of determines what abilities and special actions you can do. Um and similar with Warcry, instead of it being like double singles, triples or whatever, you now have this like pool more or less of abilities you can activate. Uh, and going through the cards, like looking at them, the Iron Golems, because I've been kind of obsessive about them since I'm going to be playing them, they have some really fun abilities that make them, I don't know, feel like the armor smiths that they should be, right? They can get tougher, they can throw bolas at people, they can trip people up, that all that sort of good stuff. So yeah.
It's very cool. Very cool. So yeah, and then how many what models have you assembled so far?
So basically, I've gotten a couple of the like single guys done. The dwarf, the chaos dwarf, chaos Durden, excuse me.
Right.
Um, the ogre breacher, and then the leader himself. I've gotten done, and then I need to go back and build the drill master. And then after the drill master, it's the sigil bearer, the signifier. He's the one that you have an optional thing for. You can either make him more or less the standard bearer of your army, uh, or you can make him kind of like a additional champion. He becomes really killy if you want him to be more offensively minded. And then there's the Iron Legionaries, and those guys are your standard, like foot soldiers for the Iron Golems.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
good. So yeah, I'll check that out. Pre-order starts tomorrow.
Yep. Definitely. I really recommend it. They are like the models are gorgeous. The amount of dynamism that they get in just the like even your generic guy, the plains runners for the
Mm-hmm.
untamed beasts, they just have all of this like motion and not only motion but emotion. You can see the character on their face, and then like how their body moves just adds all together into this one really great scene in a model.
And I
Um,
do appreciate that they learned from Necromunda in terms of releasing more factions at once at the beginning.
yeah, and that was something to where when I went to ATC, I got to talk to Ben about it, and like before I even finished the sentence, his hand was up and like gentle nod and smile, saying, "No, no, no, we know. We want to make sure that this is a hit from the ground going and people are able to play." So at launch, we have 12 factions, uh, easy peasy, and then we're getting four more. So bringing that up to no, sorry, so three more,
Mm-hmm.
uh, bringing that up to 15, and then we're getting two more Chaos War bands on top of that at a later date, which are going to be the Spire Tyrants and the Scions of the Flame.
I
And
really want to know what that looks like because this
yeah,
sounds really
the
badass.
the silhouettes that they have in the book look really cool. And I think we had someone on the Warcry group who was saying, "Oh, hey, I want the heavy armored guys. Which ones are the heavy armored guys?" I mean, Iron Golems are obviously the best of the heavy armored ones because they are the guys who make the armor. But it looks like the Spire Tyrants are going to be more of your traditional looking Chaos Marauders or Warriors,
Nice.
probably
Okay.
a cross between. Just from the silhouette, it's playing like who's that Pokemon. They can always like, yeah. The Super Star Destroyer has been a release we've been really waiting for a very long time, and I'm so glad we now have a release
Wasn't
date
it
for it.
supposed to come out like last Christmas or something originally?
So that's the reason why Fantasy Flight never puts like hard release dates on things in
Right.
case something like this happens. Um, so I don't know what the exact release window was for it, but I know it's been a bit since it was announced to when it was coming out. Um, this is a really awesome looking ship. I know the guys for Armada are going to probably be up here pretty frequently after it comes out, just so they can test out all their lists. Uh, I just want to see it on the table and compare it to the other ones, and then hit my ships into light speed and carve right through one. Right?
Oh yeah. It's
Uh,
brutal too, and they have two modes. There's like a regular version that you can play in a skirmish game that's like proper points, right? So they have the standard
right.
point match. But then there's one that's like I guess the proper executor, which is
Yeah, yeah.
huge and does not fit in a regular game.
Yeah, and so once again, it has that almost like narrative play element to it. So you get to play the balanced version in the system that you have, and then you get to play the like as is version. It would be like the same thing as saying like, okay, we're going to use the narrative rules for like a space marine, and then like each space marine would probably be like 300 points, if not
Right.
more, in a tabletop. So it would be it would be kind of fun to see that. But I'm glad that they did that with the Star Destroyer. That looks like it's going to be a really compelling ship, at least in terms of getting people excited about coming into the game or even watching games itself. I know I want to see one like take up a table and just kind of like
It's huge. It's like 2 feet
blow by.
long.
Yeah, yeah, something silly like that.
Yeah, we saw it at Gen Con last year. Massive,
Yeah.
massive.
So that's really exciting. And then the Clone Wars release for
Oh,
Legion has got me really pumped.
pumped.
Uh, I love General Grievous. I always liked his design, like his character in the movies and all that, especially the animated shows outside of the movie. Grievous was a fun character, and so I'm excited to see him and the droids, and then also young Obi Wan, plus young Anakin, all that sort of good stuff. Darth Maul, all those guys in Legion as their prequel versions should be an absolute blast to see.
I
And
have
once again,
heard that the models might be on sprues.
yeah, I know. So I know the plastic people were so they were originally using rustic plastic
Hmm.
for the Legion models, which is absolutely a fine material to use, but it does have certain limitations. And one of the limitations that it doesn't necessarily do as well as hard plastic is harder lines and shapes, right?
Hmm.
So like anything that's like organic or like cloth and things like that, rustic plastic works absolutely great for. But the more and more hard lines you get, that's where it kind of shows its limitations a little bit. So if they are hard plastic for the droids and Grievous and all that sort of stuff, I for one welcome that change.
It looks great, and the models look better than what the like in terms of like the stormtroopers and the rebel
Yeah,
troopers. Just looking at them online, they look a little bit better. So I'm thinking they're probably more towards that. That would make
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
But
So
the
I'll probably
B1s,
start
I'm getting a ton of those. I want to get
which
like 200 of them for like a
which
diorama.
of which ones?
The B1 battle
Oh, the
droids.
droids. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
dude, yeah, like a Geonosis diorama, and
yeah.
then like you could figure out how to make like LED bolts that like stand up from the ground.
Yeah. So unfortunately, John, your brother put me in a hard spot. Uh, Joe, for my birthday, got me Bosk for Legion.
It's
Now,
a good
I
gift.
was, huh?
That's a
It's a
good
good.
gift.
It's a great gift because he's my favorite Star Wars character. However, I wanted to play droids when they came out, but now I'm thinking I should probably play Empire so I can use Bosk all the time.
Right. Or you could trade him in for like Grieve. No, you can't do that. That
No,
wouldn't
no,
be
no.
right.
One, uh, I will never trade in Bosk ever. So,
Not trade in, but like use him as a substitute in a droid
oh,
army
oh,
list.
oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Like use
Yeah.
him as a proxy.
Yeah,
Uh,
proxy, that's the one.
oh,
I'm good with
God.
words this
Oh,
morning.
yeah. I would proxy him as like Jango Fett or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of Jango Fett.
What?
Eh,
He's got the accent.
yeah, but he also just like gets cloned, shows up, and then dies.
It's not his fault that Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber.
No, that's fair.
You know? Like
Yeah,
you can't kill a purple lightsaber. Unless you
um,
have unlimited power, in which case, yeah.
it's true. But
What a
yeah,
quotable movie.
yeah. No, I just want to get like I hope one of the models they release is like Kid Anakin and his pod racer, and it just has like a trample ability, and it's just all
Yeah.
pod racing as you mow through droids.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Oh, every
Okay.
time you place down Obi-Wan, you have to say, hello there.
Yeah,
Every time.
I hope if he ever like takes a hill, he becomes unkillable.
Right? Oh, yes. That'd be great. Well, they have those rules in fantasy battle, not fantasy battle. Good God, Middle Earth strategy battle game. So,
Right.
like, if
Oh,
Legolas and Gimli are in the same army,
yeah.
and let's say Gimli has fewer kills,
Yeah.
then he gets +1 to his hits or wounds or something like that.
Okay.
And then vice versa for Legolas. So whoever has the fewest kills gets a bonus, and that's in the rules. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, that is really cool. I like that a lot.
We need to
That's a
have
great
Obi-Wan every time he goes up against Grievous. He's just got to say hello there, or the player that's playing him has to say it, and then he can like get a bonus. That'd be
yeah.
cool. Super nerdy, super geeky. I like it.
Yeah. Takes me back to the beginning of Age of Sigmar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, like when Age of Sigmar first came out, there was a lot of like outside interactions you could do, like with your models, where if you were playing like a Slanesh mortal champion, if you pulled out a mirror and looked in yourself in it, your Slanesh champion would gain bonuses.
that's
Um,
hilarious.
or if you were playing dwarves, I think whoever had the longest beard would win initiative, kind of thing. Or if you had a
That's
longer
funny.
beard than your opponent, so
In my case, I don't really have one, so
yeah,
I tried
you
it
would
for
have
two
to be a
weeks.
dwarf
Didn't
player.
work well.
Uh, but yeah, so that is the Fantasy Flight new releases, and those are coming soon. We do not have them here in the store yet. They're on the boat. We should receive them as soon as possible. And as always, the moment we get them in, we'll take photos. We'll let you know what pre-orders are getting pulled and all that good stuff. So
If you want one now, let us know, for sure.
please, it definitely helps us
Other
out.
new release, since we're celebrating Sci-Fi July this whole
Yeah,
month, we have Wild West Exodus's new releases, as well as new Dust releases coming soon for the beginning of
absolutely.
August.
Oh man, I'm super excited for the Dust releases. So
Dude.
we're getting these at the same time as Gen Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So thank you,
but
Dust, for that.
yes, yeah, yeah. Dust USA has been absolutely fantastic in that. Um, the cultists with the fezzes and the dynamite are our choice.
So
I
cool.
am so excited to get some more human units for my Mythos faction. There's also the railgun teams for the IGN, and then also, like, isn't there a mercenary
Yes,
option
there
as well?
is.
Yep. So,
Now
uh,
the railgun is like 2 teams in one box, I believe. So
right.
you like double up rather than just one.
Yeah. And once again, great options. The models look fantastic. What else is coming in there? Isn't there like the Rangers headquarters as well? Like the
Yes, I believe so.
yeah,
And that one's a cool one. And there's a couple other ones too. I'd have to pull it up, but I can check.
yeah. But all these models, basically, I think every block is covered.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the main factions will be getting something substantial in this release.
Oh, and I think is it the IJN headquarters? I can't recall. Not sure if that's this one.
Yeah, it might be something soon. We've seen uh, Dust USA has. If you guys aren't part of the Facebook group for Dust, uh, they have previewed a lot of models that are coming out basically from now until I think this time next year.
And they just previewed some Indochina stuff that's coming later on this year. I think toward
Oh,
Christmas
great!
time.
Yeah, yeah,
So they're
yeah.
going away from pure desert stuff now, which is
Oh, that's
always
sick.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they've had
So
the
the
winter
Babylon
environment, they've had
campaign
the
is.
desert. Now they're moving into Vietnam and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
It's
I
awesome.
do
I
like
can't
me
wait
some
for them to go to Florida. That'll be cool. Like having gators on the battlefield.
uh, or Alabama with the meth gators now
Yes, that's right.
makes me sad.
Yeah, yeah,
Gators already have low impulse control. You don't need to be hooking them on meth.
right. Can you
They
imagine?
need their teeth.
For those of you who don't know, apparently when people flush down illicit drugs, it gets into the water supply, and then certain animals, such as gators, tend to get into it.
Yeah.
So meth
Well,
gators. That's very sad.
yeah.
Well,
If
VK gators.
I'm just saying that if the apocalypse starts because of meth gators, I will welcome it.
Yeah, we would have brought it on ourselves.
Yeah. So with that, they did preview the Vril, and the Vril are getting lizard men,
Yep,
which
heavy
is
trooper lizards.
I love it.
It's gonna be awesome. And they're the
I'm
first Type 3 air vehicles, so their aircraft are actually like heavily armored.
oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've seen their like bikes, but I haven't
Hmm.
seen any of their aircraft yet, which is exciting.
Just wait for it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Paulo does a great job with all the concepts, so I'm
It's
real
very
happy.
cool stuff.
Yeah. All right. So we got Dust covered. We got Wild West Exodus. What's coming out for Wild West Exodus? I know we got
I
the
actually did. Y'all had y'all took some photos in the store, and I was peeking through it. There's some terrain there, and there's some
yeah.
couple new
So
posse boxes.
correct. So Death from Above is one of the new posse boxes that came out, and that is the warrior nation that focuses on the tribesmen who take on like the eagle aspect.
Okay.
So they're all flyers. They're all really gorgeous models. We also got the crematorium terrain set in,
Mm.
which was a really uh, it's like I love all the train sets that they get in. Like I want to buy every one that we get, but I know Emily would shoot me because of all the space I would take up in the house with
So you
all
just stick
these.
a meth gator on you.
Yeah, right. Um, so, but they're all really gorgeous. The crematorium that we got in looks like it is a really well designed building that has great aspects of this more or less fantastical place to make sure zombies don't happen. Um,
So cool.
And then there's one other posse box that we got in that was new, and I'm totally blanking on it, so forgive me. Uh, but with Wild West Exodus, we just got a restock in. We got a whole bunch of additional posses that were people were looking for. So I'm excited to see what people do, and I'm still trying to decide between doing the Hex or Warrior Nation or the Divine Judgment box set, the like really kind of like holy roller guys.
Yeah.
They like fun.
Oh gosh, Hex pops to my mind that you'd like that. A
Yeah,
lot of
like they have
controlling, you know.
the gribbly creatures and all that sort of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but like the Divine Judgment guys, like that is something that I don't normally do, so it's kind of intriguing that way.
Gotcha.
Then if I do Death from Above, I make Emily happy with Birdman, so maybe she won't get mad at me starting another game. So
You also could do the Watchers, the aliens. They are awesome.
yeah, and so I do like the Watchers, the aliens, especially like the human allies,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like the design choices that they've done with them because they range all the way from like your standard grays to human allies to different alien species, so they can kind of cover a lot of different design aspects in just one faction. So
It reminds me a lot of XCOM in a way.
yeah, no, that is very true. They are very XCOM like, just XCOM in the Wild West.
Right. It's very cool. It's very cool. And then they have the Viridians, which are like the kind of like alphas in Halo.
Right,
They're basically like the
the elites.
bigger dudes. Not quite the brutes, because there are an
Yeah,
equivalent of brutes, I think, in the faction. But
yeah.
it's very cool.
Yeah, the game itself is just full of all these great designs and really strong elements of all sorts of different genres, whether it's old west, fantasy, sci-fi, pulp, uh, horror. It has it all there in one game. So
So I'm assuming David's typing for Giga-Bites. He says Mace Windu isn't dead. We didn't see a body.
um,
This is true.
yes, there was like a couple of storylines, and I don't know if they ever got written or done, but like um, there was one where like he basically picked himself up and put himself into exile because, similar to Yoda, kicking himself for not realizing that the senator was a Sith. Uh,
Or that Anakin would turn for the very sloppy reason.
yeah, well, Mace
I
Windu was
pledge
not
my
going to write.
allegiance, master.
Yeah, I know in the original plot, I think he was supposed to be crushed by a star destroyer.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and I want to say
Then
that
the
they
Emperor could yell unlimited power and everyone would believe it.
yeah, like, but it was supposed to like, but I think they wanted to include him in the final scene with the Emperor,
Right.
simply so they could, like, once again, use Samuel L. Jackson to be himself and act and have a resolution of that character. Because I think when Order 66 happened, he was supposed to like fight guys off to the point where they're just like, nah, screw it, let's just drop a ship on him, and that's how he was supposed to go.
That'd be so cool. Like the whole
So
Venator, just engines out, go.
yeah, just drop it on him. Everyone get out. We're throwing it at him.
That'd be great after like a 10-minute sequence of it crashing. He just
Yeah,
kind of steps out of it like, not dead yet.
yeah. Cool guys walk away from explosions, right?
That's the one.
So, uh, but yeah, Mace Windu's technically he could be alive, especially with the new trilogies. Who knows? Maybe Samuel L. Jackson will pop up alongside Rey in Episode 9.
Well, I'm really looking forward for the Clone Wars set for Legion of them adding in the specialists and all that. I feel like a lot of them are going to be Jedi.
Yeah, so I hope so. I hope they use the Jedi Council, and especially, like I said, that animated show that they had, the Clone Wars, both
Mm-hmm.
the CG and the
Yeah.
cartoon, did a great job of adding characters into the world that people could relate to. Because in the movies, they were really focusing on the main cast, so you didn't get to have a chance to interact with the council like you did in the cartoons. But
Right.
you know,
Ahsoka Tano would be good.
I thought she was already in the game. I think Ahsoka's already in the game, but her
Is
older
she? No.
version. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sabine is in the game.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Sabine Wren is in the game, but not
Um,
Ahsoka Tano.
but Ahsoka, Plo Koon. Oh
Dude, did you
man,
ever play that old PlayStation game, the Star Wars one, where you were like, it was top down, and you were playing through Episode 1, basically?
yeah, yeah, and you could play whatever Jedi you wanted.
Yeah, Plo Koon was awesome.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Him and his orange lightsaber.
Uh huh.
Um, and then there's also like Commander Rex and things like that from the Clone Wars series. Like,
And then
there's
his squad could be an
yeah,
elite choice. That is it.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of character they can bring to the Clone Wars.
Like what kind of droid stuff? Because we know there's the B2 battle droids; those will be elites, probably
Yeah.
like a 3 to 5 man squad of that, or maybe even just like a 2 or 3 man squad.
There's the B squads, and eventually some of the B ones actually became characters. Like
Really?
yeah, I mean, like they eventually evolved into characters themselves. There's also like things outside of the droids that were basically allies, part of the allegiance. So you have the insects from Episode Two, the insectoids. I can't
Hmm.
remember what their names were. You have several other allied races. Um, there's basically these slavers that look kind of like they had very like bat-like features on them from the
Hmm.
cartoons and things like that. Those really tall droids with like the shock sticks, were those the B2s?
The Shock Six, the ones that were in Episode 3 guarding Grievous.
Yes.
No, I forget exactly what they're called, which is very sad for a Star Wars nerd.
Yeah.
But they're like his equivalent of a royal guard, I think.
So there's those, and then also don't forget like the droids with like all their tanks and emplacements and all that.
What are the 4-legged ones with the big? They look like big, like kind of bugs. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
the roly
talking about?
polies. I thought those were in the Clone Wars box set. Like I thought you got two of
No,
those.
those are droidicas. I'm talking about like they look like a ball with 4 legs. They're in
Oh
episode
yeah,
2.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That would be
Uh,
great.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with droids because you can do just droids, or you can start adding in their allies of the other, factions, and
Geonosians,
yeah,
yeah,
species, all that sort of stuff. So,
so cool, so cool. There's so much potential in that game.
should have called Dorian out here. She's a big old Star Wars nerd, but I don't think she likes the prequels all that much.
Well, plus then we'd be talking forever,
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
we wouldn't
Um,
stop.
so let's go over to the Games Workshop releases that are coming out
Yeah.
tomorrow. Uh, dun 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 dun
Dun,
dun.
dun.
Um, so we
Talk
have
about
the
a big
Acastus
deal.
Knights coming out for Adeptus Titanicus. Uh,
How do you
so
pronounce it?
uh, Acastus Knights Perforon or Porphyrion, yeah, Porphyrion.
Porphyrion. Okay.
So I have been a huge fan of these knights ever since they got done at Forge World. I love the big, blocky, heavily armored gunboat kind of style,
Yes.
and these guys exemplify it to an insane end. So really glad to see them in Adeptus Titanicus. I wasn't sure if they were going to get there or not, but they did. So you get two of them for $50. They are absolutely gorgeous models that they got sculpted to almost perfection from the Forge World stuff. So definitely check it out.
I'd really
We
be
also,
curious to see like a converted list for 40K where they take them like as a Space Marine army.
yeah, I've heard a couple people like taking these for like dreadnoughts and all that,
Yeah.
like using them as either like contemptor dreadnoughts or whatever. But it's also great to pick up for, like, let's say you want to convert your dreadnoughts, like especially when it comes down to like contemptors
Ooh.
or
Okay.
whatever. You have these guns and kits and things like that that you wouldn't necessarily have on the normal build out.
Good idea.
So yeah,
Smart people.
all right. And so we have the Blood Bowl, the Aethelorn Avengers, which is the Wood Elf team.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's a lot of releases this week.
Didn't we
So
also get the delayed Seraphon stuff? Not Seraphon.
Wood Elf,
Thank you.
Sylvaneth.
Sylvaneth. That's the one.
Yeah,
Starts with an
yeah,
S.
yeah. So I got that in the pile next to me.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
so the Aethelorn Avengers are a Wood Elf team. So these are back in the old world of fantasy where Wood Elves were Wood Elves, not what is it, the Wanderers that they are in Age of Sigmar. So in this box set, you get two War Dancers and then Catchers, Linemen, uh, and then yeah, Catchers, Linemen, throwers, and laners. So it has all the other like bonuses. So you get your Blood Bowl coins, you get your footballs or Blood Bowl balls, I guess. Um, plus, actually, you get a nice little decal sheet to put numbers on people. And in this one for the Wood Elf team, they actually tattoo themselves with their player number,
Oh,
which I think
nice.
is kind of cool. So yeah, this is a great addition to the Blood Bowl game. So we have their pitch, their dice, their cards, the models, and then we also have a new expansion of Blood Bowl that basically adds another layer to the game.
Ooh.
So that's all available here this weekend. And then finally, we're going to go to the Sylvaneth. So this has been much waited upon, and now it's here. So new Sylvaneth book updates the point values, updates some rules, adds some additional rules like the War Groves. So now you can kind of choose where your Sylvaneth warband is from. Depending on which one, it'll give you different bonuses. It'll either make, you know, your casters better. It'll focus on maybe your Kurnoth hunters or your spites or dryads. It's really great. It adds another layer of customization to it, and then provides you with new rules like rules for the endless spells. So the endless spells just got
Ooh.
released with this one, and these are some gorgeous models. I personally love all of the effects on the models that they did. Whoever did the paint job at the heavy metal team really knocked it out of the park. So these endless spells are available to the Sylvaneth, and then we have new terrain. So
Trees.
this is the new terrain kit for trees from Games Workshop. This is the Sylvaneth Wildwood, or Awakened Wildwood, I guess is a better way of saying it.
Yeah, can you show us the bottom of the front?
Yeah, and so this is basically the footprint. Now, what I really like about this is it is no longer just like a pie plate that you have to kind of like jam on the board. It now gives you three woods that you can kind of place as you see fit, and it gives you a hole in the center to add additional stuff or allow your models to move into it. And I know things like dryads, when you summon them, they have to be deployed fully within a wildwood, and this makes it a lot easier than the older template that you had before from Games Workshop. Uh, so I, for one, really like it. And they did a really great job on modeling this. The trees look absolutely fantastic and are filled with a lot of great detail.
Well, what I like about those trees in particular is like with regular trees, if you get it like a, any well the ones that the stuff falls off of them basically.
Yeah.
That
And
it's
so
really
this one,
irritating because you have to constantly re-glue it on. If you pick it
yeah,
up wrong, then a chunk of it comes off, and being hard plastic, it just always stays the same, which is great.
yeah. And so these guys look like a lot of fun to put together. They look like they'll stay put. And also, for those of you who have picked up the contrast paints, this will probably take like all of 2 minutes with the contrast.
Wildwood for sure, dude.
Yeah.
Wildwood is such a good color.
Yeah, so you can use the wildwood and then like either Creed camo or Militarum green on the leaves or whatever
Yeah,
you want to do, and it'll be battle ready in like 2 seconds. So
right.
uh, definitely really good. Something to look into. And I want to say you can probably build it without the leaves attached to the tree branches if you want to do something like deadwoods or anything like that.
Or if you want to
There's some.
airbrush it, if you want that
Yeah.
extra effect.
Oh man, I might airbrush it.
Oh, do it.
So I'm playing a little bit of Sylvaneth and I'm loving the trees, but I'm mainly picking up the trees not only for the army but like just to have as terrain outside of it.
Yeah.
So like because they're just nice looking trees that are designed to work well with these Citadel miniatures. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be great not only for Sylvaneth games and Age of Sigmar games, but even like 40k or to me something like War Machine and Hordes can definitely benefit from it because once again you have that border of the forest that you can easily move into and on and off of, and it doesn't really affect the model's placement or anything like that.
So
It'll look
cool.
really nice. So that covers the Sylvaneth releases. So we have this book, the War Scroll cards, the Sylvaneth dice, all that sort of good stuff ready to go, ready for you to pick up here this weekend. And so if you love the treeples or want to get into the treeples like me, it's a good weekend to kind of come in and pick up things. And those who are wondering, the dice and War Scroll cards are usually considered limited release, so they'll only make a couple of print waves of it.
Yep.
So if you guys like to have those like little additional things, that little collector's bit to it, definitely let us know because we do have limited numbers in on it, and we'll only basically reorder based on pre-orders. So something to check out. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I think these are really cool. So these are the Adeptus Titanicus dice,
Ooh,
and so there we have two sets. We have one for the loyalists, and then we have one for the cool guys, the traders. So this is the first time that we get dice like this outside of the set. Once again, I don't know if these are going to be print like limited print runs or not. But if you are a Adeptus Titanicus fan, definitely ask us to hold you aside a set or two, simply because we don't know how many we'll ever be able to get. So something to check out.
so true. Any
Yeah.
word on Malifaux stuff? Because I know it sold out real quick.
Oh, um, we will be getting it as soon as we can. Unfortunately, Malifaux Third Edition was a much bigger hit than they expected. They had an announcement basically saying that effect. Um, so we will attempt to get as much as we can in as soon as we can, but there is no guarantees on when. As soon as I know something, I will let y'all know. But like I said before, I haven't received any word, and I've been checking my shipments to see when things are going to be restocked. I will be going to Gen Con, so I will be talking with the guys at Weird when I go there. I could also just go down to their office and ask. But I'm
It is
pretty
just down the
sure,
road, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be they are making it as fast as they can to meet demands. And unfortunately, the first wave stuff sold out so quickly, but all the second wave items, like the new master boxes and things like that, were already under production. So it's not like they can say, "Hey, cancel that. Let's get back to wave one." So it's an additional order to what they already order. So please be patient and let us know if we can get you guys anything, and we'll try to keep you informed on when it comes in.
Yeah, real quick, let's do a final bit on RPGs. We have Jim,
Yeah.
who is our
So
master RPGer, who is hosting some RPG events and one shots.
yeah, so both Jim and Philip are going to be running one-shot RPGs. So Phil is our other dedicated DM. Jim is currently running the Star Wars Age of Rebellion RPG for one
Oh,
shots.
sweet.
So I know people like John Caspian who are really into Star Wars. It's a great way to dip your toes into that universe and uh, more or less see a part of the story that you wouldn't see through the movies or the additional fiction and all that, which I think is really cool. And then Philip is running Warhammer Fantasy role playing game, and so this is the old world Warhammer Fantasy, where you have you know humans living in a city. I want to say this is Reichland, where it is a very gothic medieval town where there is corruption under every stone. Chaos is slowly working its way in, and you're a human more or less just trying to get by. Cool thing about Warhammer Fantasy is you get to make whatever character you want to make. However, if you decide to roll just randomly on tables, you get bonuses every time you do a random roll.
Really?
Yeah, so it
Huh.
really encourages players to let go of the control of what character you're going to play,
Mm-hmm.
and accept that randomness, and then really kind of make that character your own through playing it, right? And there's a chance that you could end up as a human beggar, or we had a friend who ended up as a halfling lawyer,
Lawyer?
which, yeah, like there is literally any job under or class that you can imagine in a city at that time.
That's
So
great.
yeah, they really want to make sure people can feel like someone who has come from very little into a full blown adventure, right? So
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense.
it's really kind of cool. So basically, yeah, a hero can come from anywhere in this game,
So
and I
cool. So cool.
love it.
And
Yeah,
it's all by Cubicle 7, who are also making the Age of Sigmar RPG, right?
correct. And they now also have Wrath and Glory under their domain
Oh,
as
that's
well.
right,
So,
yeah. Now, then they
so
said that they were not going to completely remake it. They're just kind of tweaking things to make some
correct.
stuff like more user friendly, because going through
Yeah.
the book can be a little difficult.
So basically, it's going to be a big errata for Wrath and Glory,
Right.
and it'll be included in future print runs, or they'll have it as a supplemental download that you can get.
Because Wrath and Glory system is solid.
Yeah,
It's good.
absolutely is. And so they basically have all of Games Workshop uh, and other Games Workshop licenses like Lord of the Rings. So they do. two different Lord of the Rings role playing games. One that is their own proprietary system, and then one that is a supplement for fifth edition D&D. So,
That's
um,
right. That's a good
yeah,
one.
really
And
amazing
also, there's
stuff.
the Alien RPG that's been announced.
Yes. I'm actually surprised I haven't seen David just hooping and hollering about that here in the store, because David does love him some Alien. And also, how cool would it be if they did Predator as well? Either way, like playing that kind of survival horror RPG where you're trying to not get a face hugger on you, or let's say even just murdered by a drone on your ship that everyone else is in stasis in. It sounds
That's great.
uh, really fun and terrifying. It's going to be very. I hope it's very different than your normal kind of like dungeon crawl role playing game, where you kind of like line up to uh, go down through a dungeon, kill monsters, eventually find a boss. I hope the Alien RPG is really kind of survival based, so you are doing your best to make it out alive as opposed to kill the bad guy.
If it's anything like the Fallout RPG expansion for Wasteland Warfare, I'd be excited about it. Which I
Yeah.
have played the Wasteland Warfare expansion, so I'm going to be doing a review at 5 today, or around
Oh,
5 as soon
nice.
as I can get home. Basically talking about it and talking how it fits in with Wasteland Warfare. It is awesome.
Well, that's absolutely great. Well, John, I have people walking in the door, and
Yeah.
I have a lot of prep to do before Giga-Con, so I will talk to you guys later.
Yep. Thanks,
And
John. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you all throughout the weekend with streams, videos, etc.
okay,
Bye.
great. Bye, everybody.